This was gifted to the university in 1946. It is actually inherited from the Robert Allerton folks. Robert didn't really want to follow in his father's footsteps and get involved with agricultural business and farming. He wanted to become a bohemian artist. And he went to Europe and studied art in France and Munich. But he really didn't feel that his artwork was quite up to snuff. So he burned all of his paintings, all of his drawings, and came home. So his father gave him this property here in Illinois. He went to England to look at English manor homes, and they came up with the house plan that we have now. It's an H floor plan. He built the house in a little over a year. He started construction in 1899, completed enough in 1900 that he moved in. He was still an artist, so he basically turned in his canvases and said he wasn't going to be an artist in that sense anymore, and he became an artist of the land. So as any farmer knows, he vacationed in the wintertime, so he would leave Illinois during the winter months and would travel the world. And he was still very fascinated in art. He'd find sculptures and art pieces and furniture and those type of things, and he'd bring them back here. And then he would expand his gardens by putting things in formal gardens, putting sculptures in it. And he wanted people to come and visit the farm and wanted them to feel like they were walking into a painting. Time of the year, the sun singer is pointing toward the sun, so he's welcoming the morning sun every day. And the story behind him was kind of comical. It kind of shows that Robert was human. He, in his travels, had stopped in Stockholm, and the sun singer is in the harbor in front of the palace there. And he liked the piece. He went to Carl Millis's studio to see the sun singer, and in Carl Millis's studio he had life-size figures in the garden area. And Robert wanted him to make a piece for him. But all of the studio pieces did not match the same pose that was of the figure in the harbor. So Robert said, I want one of the figures that you have in your garden, but I want him posed like he is in the harbor. And unfortunately, Carl Millis got that all screwed up, and actually, instead of getting a 6-foot figure, he got a 16-foot figure. So that probably wherever he thought they were going to put him, it wasn't going to work. So they actually had to create a location for the sun singers. It's fun to see him because he's such a glorious figure in the first place, but then to find out that he's really truly a mistake wasn't what Robert had planned. Carl Millis did actually get to come to this country and saw the sun singer in its current position, and his comment was that there probably couldn't be a grander stage for the sun singer. He was very pleased with what Robert had done with him. How did this become part of the University of Illinois? Well, during his world travels, he was coming back from the Far East. He stopped in Hawaii to visit some friends, and they said, you know, we've got some property we think you need to look at. It's about 120 acres on the island of Kauai. And he went to look at it and said, wow, we could do a botanical garden, much like what we've done in Illinois. So he bought the property on the island of Kauai. It was called Hawaii Kauai, and found out that it was really quite nice. So now he's spending more time in Hawaii all the time and less time in Illinois. And it's a matter of now, what do I do with this property here in Illinois? In 1922, he was involved with the University of Illinois on the planning board. He was involved in planning the quad and a lot of other activities on campus. And in 1922, they had a father-son banquet at a fraternity, and one of the board members had a son that was going to the fraternity and said, Robert, you need to come to this. So Robert said, well, I can't, I don't really know anybody, you know, and I would be out of place. And the gentleman said, no, don't worry about it. There's a young man here that does not have parents, so we'll pair you two up, and that'll be your father-son banquet for that weekend. And they hit it off, and his name was John Gregg, and he actually graduated from the University of Illinois, and Robert helped him get his first job, and then later on, John did actually come to the estate here to live. At that time, though, Illinois law would not allow adult children to be adopted, and that law was changed in 1959 and 1960. Then Robert officially adopted John Gregg. But in the meantime, John Gregg did come to live here. He helped Robert design the gardens. He went with him on his travels and selecting sculpture and those type of pieces. So when it came time to spending more time in Hawaii and less time in Illinois, what do we do with this property in Illinois? It made perfect sense with Robert's connections with the university and John Gray being a graduate, that this was gifted to the university. So part of the park farm ground was given to the Art Institute, and then the University of Illinois was given property here and the estate. The purpose of the gift was to continue education and research of Allerton Park for the citizens in the area. I really think, in the light of Illinois government and what's happened with our parks that are state funded, that I think this is absolutely fantastic that we have this location here that will be untouched by that. So that's kind of Allerton Park in a nutshell.